Hey guys, so Dan from Trading with Dan. Today I'm going to do you guys a quick update on the oil market and explain what is going on and why prices have got down so much and basically what is going on. But firstly, I just want to show you the 15-minute DMT, which is the settings that we would use to trade oil. As you can see, it took us a short trade there. And that DMT trade would currently be sitting in about a 34% profit. And then I also want to show you the 25-minute Dominator for oil, which had a sell signal here. So that sell signal on Dominator, if you took that, would currently be sitting in another 34% profit. So just showing you those indicators. But anyway, so over to oil. So what has happened? I did explain in a previous video about OPEC plus one, OPEC plus, which is basically the OPEC nations plus Russia. The OPEC countries, Saudi Arabia particularly wanted OPEC to cut production to stop the prices going down like they were. So obviously that reduces supply to make the price go up, because there's obviously a lot of reduced demand for oil and petroleum products at the moment because of the virus. So I explained to you guys Russia didn't want to cut and basically left the meeting. Then OPEC released a not very honest statement saying everybody at the meeting agreed on a cut in production, but Russia had left the meeting and were adamant they weren't going to cut, but they weren't at the meeting at the time when they did the vote. So that was a bit of misleading information, but hey. So what happened was Saudi Arabia then decided that they just are going to reverse their obviously were going to cut. They've reversed their decision to do that, and then just going to actually ramp up production potentially to 11 or 12 million barrels per day, and that 180 is obviously going to be enough to collapse the price, which it obviously did. So what you actually have in the media, they're trying to say that Russia and Saudi Arabia are sort of at loggerheads over this. They are at each other's necks over what they're going to do about this, but this is not the case. This isn't the truth. Let me tell you what the truth of the matter is. The truth of the matter is that they've tried to do this once before. Saudi Arabia, in the last oil price shocks, they are trying to bust US shale oil and higher cost oil, so deep sea oil as well. So basically all the higher cost forms of production of oil, when the oil price is higher, they are obviously economically viable. But Saudi Arabia, like I said before, Saudi Arabia, they can just stick a straw in the ground and oil squirt out. They don't have to do all the crazy stuff, the expensive stuff that they have to do for, like, say, US to produce its shale oil. I mean, there was a survey, an anonymous survey of what the break-even cost was for a lot of the shale oil producers in America, and it was around like $55 a barrel. So what Saudi Arabia are trying to do, and they did try to do this initially with shale oil and it didn't work. The shale oil producers were able to borrow and lower their costs to actually stay in business. And then America obviously then became the biggest producer of oil in the world because of that. But obviously Russia has cheap oil production costs as well. Not quite as cheap as Saudi Arabia, but it is low. So these guys, they both just want to drive the price lower, bust shale oil, and then obviously the price can then go back up again, and the shale oil companies will be out of business. Their means of production will basically be gone. So that is what they're actually trying to do, and this all plays into like America's like cheap credit and manipulation of financial markets and all that jazz, because shale oil producers in America, they basically are all losing money, and they're selling like these bonds to pension funds to basically keep on drilling and keep on getting oil, even though they're actually a loss making companies. And the irony of these shale oil producers is that they have to pay more money than the oil that come out of the ground is worth, and they also have to actually expend more energy to extract the oil than is like intrinsically in the oil that's extracted itself. So all American shale oil really is subsidized oil that America's producing for itself, and then obviously to export and to make money from. But it's getting subsidized by the fact that they essentially have a printing press and suppress rates and can borrow money, can print money and do whatever they want with money. So money doesn't have the actual value that they pretend it does. So they're more than happy to pay more of this printed fiat monopoly money to produce oil. And they call it there was a campaign, they call it like the freedom particle. Like oil is like the freedom particle, because it's like they're trying to basically convince people that it doesn't matter that they're losing money on it. We need it because we need it for our freedom, our independence from these horrible oil producing Middle Eastern countries and evil Russia, and obviously that whole narrative that they have in Venezuela and everywhere else, and Iran and all those evil oil producing, and Iraq and basically everywhere, Libya. Like, we have to be producing our own oil. But also obviously the rest of the world, the rest of these oil producing countries, they see this. They know that America is basically gaming the system with cheap credit and a printing press to produce all this oil uneconomically. So they shouldn't be able to produce it if it wasn't for this financial engineering. And that is then driving down the costs that the Russians and the Saudi, obviously the Saudis, get for their oil. So they want to drive the price down too low, and they see that America is currently at like an inflection point. The world economy is where spreads between like junk debt and like government debts are blowing out. So basically corporate debt is increasingly expensive and hard, if not impossible, to get. I mean, these are the credit markets that are going to freeze over. These are the credit markets that freezed over in 2008 as well. So they see the vulnerability. Russia obviously sees the vulnerability and doesn't have as good a relationship with America as Saudi Arabia does. But so Saudi Arabia does also see the vulnerability in the US, but was originally just going to go along with sort of the status quo if everybody agreed. Well, in Russia basically, they all agreed to do a good production cut. Then prices could stabilize and go back up, and then just business could go on as usual. Saudi Arabia, obviously, America does. They're close allies basically. So, but Russia isn't. So Russia said, no, we're going to do this. We're going to try and bust them. They're vulnerable. Their financial system is vulnerable. Their dollar reserve status is looking vulnerable. The current financial system is looking vulnerable. Let's take the kill shot on this basically. This oil production, that this uneconomical oil production that America's doing. And then Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia has a working relationship, a close relationship with the US, but they don't like the US. They don't like each other. So it's the perfect excuse for Saudi Arabia to be like, well, if Russia's not going to do it, we're not going to do it, and we're going to ramp up production as well. And then boom, they can blame Russia for the fact they've had to do it. They've not like done it in conjunction with Russia, like as a joint decision between them both to bust American shale oil. And let's face it, American shale oil should be bust anyway, because like I said, it costs more money and it costs more energy to actually what you get money for the oil and energy out of the oil. So it is ridiculous. But whilst ever you have a printing press, it doesn't matter what the price is in like normal economics. All that matters is that you can keep printing the money, that the currency doesn't collapse, and then you can keep on purchasing a real asset, i.e. oil, with that pretend monopoly money. So that is what is happening here. So there's definitely no reason why Russia and Saudi Arabia are not gonna do a 180 on this just to help American shale oil and help America. They're going to keep driving this price down and down for a prolonged period, like maybe 6 months or so, maybe down into definitely probably down into the low 20s, maybe on the basis that I just know markets do what you don't expect, maybe we'll even dip into sub 20. But either way, what it will mean is that that will be the end of American shale oil, and they will all be bust, and it'll even have an impact on America's reserve world currency status as well. So there you go, guys. Now you actually know what actually is going on in oil. Basically, Saudi Arabia and Russia are taking another shot at basically busting the world's current biggest oil producer, which is America, because they are only the world's biggest producer due to the financial engineering of how they do it. So some information for you there, guys. I mean, I don't actually know how many of you Bitcoin guys will be that interested in it, but it is surely a crazy move, as you can see here on the screen. It's a crazy move, and yeah, you might just want to know why that's happened. So now you know, guys. But right, so thanks for listening to that, guys. Remember, it's not a financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I will be back with you guys with another video soon.